dig.com, dig.com has an analogous color scheme. Pretty much just an analogous color scheme is any three colors that are next to each other on a color wheel. So it's got this sort of green-blue and a green and then like a yellow-green to it. And there's, of course, other colors involved in it. And it's not like the dig designer sat down and said, oh, I'm going to use an analogous color scheme. But if you're having trouble picking colors, then knowing some of these color schemes and understanding the color wheel is something that it might be useful for you to help you out with that. But also, Threadless.com uses a split complementary. They've got some like a red-orange and a violet-blue and a green. And of course, you can change the hue and saturation. You can't change the hue, but the saturation and the lightness and the darkness of a color can be changed, within the hues that you pick. And again, it's not like we're all sitting down with color wheels and choosing our colors that way. Once you get the hang of it, you can do it a little bit by feel. But if you have trouble, then choose one of these color schemes. And there's a few others too. There's triadic or tetradic complementary. And so if there's one color that you feel really evokes the emotion or about the application or website that you're designing for, you can start with that color and try out these different color schemes to see what gives you the right feel that you're looking for. So one last way that designers create hierarchy and put things in boxes is by manipulating or working with reading direction. Reading direction is one of these factors that you have to kind of dance with all the other factors that create hierarchy. You've probably heard it a million times. People in the Western world read from left to right. This is why logos are in the top left-hand corner of websites as a convention. I mean, New York Times put an ad up there. Not a bad idea. But anybody care to guess why, or one reason relative to reading direction that this image might be to the right of the headline that it's next to, that it relates to?
You'll see the headline first.
Right. Because you're reading from left to right, this image, your eyes are going to be attracted to it naturally. It's got so much visual weight. And if this headline is going to have any chance of being read, it better be to the left of that image, because otherwise you're just going to go straight to that image. People aren't going to see it and click through it. So there's just a few of the factors and principles that designers use to do the work that they do. And again, I didn't intend today at all to give you any sort of list of rules or anything like that, or to give you any technical guidance, because you all know how to do that. But I just wanted to present some of the principles, some of the methods that we use to make the decisions that we make, so that as you're viewing design, you can kind of use your understanding of what I've presented today to grow as a designer. I want to teach you how to fish rather than giving you a fish. So are there any questions? Yes, sir.
What software tools do you use for like layout or posting? Is there anything like after you've done design, you kind of like look at it through, sometimes I squint at the design and see what pops, or use like a program to look at color schemes, anything like that?
No, not really. The question was, do I use any programs to analyze the design after I've created it, to like analyze the color schemes or anything like that? No, I mean, I do create designs typically as a Photoshop mock-up first, depending upon the complexity of the changes. If it's a new website, then I definitely will start with Photoshop. And sometimes when I'm on the color picker, HSV is nice, because that's a hue saturation value, because then you can, like if you're stuck and you need to go with one of the color schemes that I talked about, you can go with a hue, adjust the saturation of the value a little bit, and that can help you out with finding a color sometimes. Sir.
So how do you pick the first color?
How do I pick the first color? Well, yeah, that color that I'm talking about that evokes the emotion or the message of the site that you really want to get out. That's a tough one. I guess you might look at competitors. You do a competitive analysis, look at what sort of colors there are in that space, and you sort of have to reason about that. So if it's imagine if New York Times had a black background.
Awesome.
That,
Actually, you've answered it. It's okay, good. I'm not missing anything. It is a tough problem.
right, yeah, it is a tough problem. It's definitely, like I say, color is the most subjective part of it. But the myth that I wanted to dispel is that choosing colors requires innate talent as far as getting to that first color is tricky.
So far, it's cost me $500 a website. So I pay somebody else to figure out the color scheme.
Yeah.
There you go. Okay. Oh, pretty colors. Okay, I can make HTML.
Right. So you hire somebody to do the design, and then that's taken care of. It's not a problem with getting stakeholders to buy in or anything.
No?
Okay. Because that can be
Results.
a messy project management situation sometimes when you have a lot of stakeholders who oh, I talked to my daughter's dentist, and he said that he doesn't like purple. So it happens.
I was
Not exaggerating.
watching the process though, and the owner said, our friend, the retired so-and-so guy, made the logo, and so he had to use that logo with that awful color, but everything else was okay.
Oh, nice. Yeah. Typical.
Yeah, there's some things that I just throw up my hands and go, okay, I don't care. Is that fun?
Yeah, sometimes, the client management issues is a whole other thing with design. It requires a very careful process to get buy-in from everybody, all the stakeholders. Sir?
A parallel question, perhaps. You talked about some of the ways of organizing and proportioning a page layout.
Sure.
That's when you already have an idea of a layout.
Yeah.
How does your layout come out of the blank page?
So the question is how does that I talked about using proportion to manage the layout and manage the information, but how does the layout come out of the page? I think probably first it's best to determine what sort of hierarchy you're going for. Does that make sense? So maybe even like a bubble diagram sometimes. We just okay, this is going to be headlines, and that's a huge bubble, and then you've got, I want my Twitter feed to be, a smaller bubble in the hierarchy, and getting all the stakeholders bought in on that hierarchy and agreeing with what that hierarchy is. Then from then you can begin to work with wireframes, which could be just sketching or grabbing OmniGraffle and the Garrett IA library and just making wireframes and laying out black and white information, and then going from there to do the smaller design tweaks where you're tweaking the proportion and things. You can start with a more expressive process that way. And anything else? Any other questions or anecdotes relating to designers and front-end designers and back-end designers working together? All right, well, thanks a lot. There's obviously a lot more time left in this hour, so if there's anybody who wants to present anything, then sure, come on up. Thank you.